Joining me on the news to discuss this is Bolu. Michael-Biyi is a foreign policy analyst. It's nice to know that you're there.
Yeah, good day.
Now, the UN's top court ruled that Israel must take all measures to prevent genocidal acts in Gaza, but stopped short of ordering an immediate halt to operations. Now, with South Africa failing to force a ceasefire in the Israel-Gaza conflict, isn't that court ruling vague and one that smacks of defeatism?
Well, if we say a person answers a question diplomatically, it basically means that they are kind of, trying to not to take sides and stay in the middle and not offending any party, so to speak. So I think it's just international diplomacy coming into play, being that anything other than that ruling would be taking side, taking an extreme stance. And that is not what international diplomacy is about. It reflects the complex nature of international diplomacy and the challenges faced within the region. But what makes that ruling, that position significant is that it kind of exposes the limitations of legal frameworks or mechanisms in seeking a quick conflict resolution.
Well, let's look at the response of the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. He said that Israel will continue to defend itself and its citizens while adhering to international law. Now, that response too sounds somehow unconvincing. What do you make of it?
Well, that's the Prime Minister being a diplomat himself, and it's quite surprising because Israel tend to have stepped their boundaries in a lot of ways, in terms of human rights violations and, terrible bombing of the Gazans, So it's quite surprising, and that Benjamin Netanyahu would say that, they will keep defending Israel and at the same time saying within legal framework. The laws, international law, supports peace, supports mutual understanding, and I don't think there's a law that says international law that permits the outright wiping out or killing of people or genocide in any way. So it kind of contradicts himself, and it's we just have to keep observing and look out for Israel's next step.
Let's now look at the standpoint of the militant group. Hamas welcomed the ICJ ruling, saying that Israel must be compelled to implement all court rulings. To them, is this a major win to stop Israel's revengeful crusade against Hamas? Because some are concerned that Palestinians feel that Israeli forces might not halt hostilities. So where is the joy?
Yeah, I mean, they have, people have, legitimate reasons to fear that Israel would not abide by the ruling because, looking at precedents, they've kind of, violated a couple of times. And so there's no assurance that they would adhere to the ruling. For Hamas, it's a victory to them, so to speak. However, you can only force a horse to the river, you can't force it to drink. So the willingness, how effective or whether the court ruling will be adhered to depends on Israel's willingness. You can't force them to comply with the court decision, and that means that everything is open and it's uncertain what the next step of Israel will be. We just hope that it's subject to continuous negotiation. So let's see what happens.
Let's now look at the issue of forced compliance. U.S. media reported that the head of the CIA is due to meet Israeli, Qatari, and Egyptian officials in the coming days to discuss a new potential ceasefire in Gaza. Can U.S. prevail over Israel in this matter after initial show of obstinacy?
Oh, I don't think the U.S. would actually have that conversation with Israel because they tend to be the one financing Israel to continue the war. If they wanted to have that conversation or prevail on Israel in any way, they would have a long time ago. They will stop supporting, they stop providing funds and weaponry to Israel. So the U.S. and Israel are strong allies, and they're committed to each other's cause. So U.S., for instance, is on the UN Security Council, and they have the veto power. A couple of weeks or months ago, it was the U.S. that blocked, that vetoed the resolution to halt ceasefire. So they have every opportunity to stop or prevail over Israel if they really wanted to all along. So if they've not done that up till now, I don't see Israel and US having that conversation to halt hostilities anytime soon.
So that would now bring me to ask, are there any other parameters that should be considered when it comes to ensuring compliance on the part of Israel? As we know it, Hamas has said that it is not going to be a party to a two-party state. Israel has said that it is going to continue to ensure the protection of its people. Is there any way that we can stop this onslaught and probably broker peace among the both countries?
Well, hopefully, let's just be hopeful that Israel would comply with the ruling. However, it's quite difficult to enforce, the Israelis sometimes. However, there are some diplomatic or political measures that could be taken, such as that's where the United Nations Security Council comes in. They might be able to impose sanctions if they don't comply, or other diplomatic mechanisms. However, I don't see them happening because the United States literally owns this UN Security Council. I mean, they have the veto power and all that. So there's some checks and balances, UN Security Council, for instance, imposing sanctions. These are ways to ensure that the countries apply, align with the court rulings. But in this situation, considering the relationship between Israel and the USA, I don't see that happening.
Bolu Michael-Biyi, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you. Thank you.